Hello, buddy. It is me, GamePing3-1, and today, oh boy. Okay, so on this channel, I like to not get political as much, and to be honest, when things get this heated and this interesting, it's hard to really stay away from a story this big when you have to report on various things about the gaming industry. And not just the gaming industry in general, but today we're going to be talking about a couple different things here that I don't normally touch on. Don't expect this to become a regular thing because this was originally supposed to be a story in my end of month roundup, but since I need a thing for this week, and this was probably one of the biggest stories to drop, and I don't see a lot of people talking about this, let's end up talking about this. That is, today we are talking about the FBI and them cracking down on a bunch of illicit download websites in an ongoing attempt to kind of not do the thing where they're trying to protect people, rather they're protecting the interests of what appear to be the corporations. It's quite interesting, and quite frankly, yikes. So, with that being said, if you like what it is that I do want to support me in either way, shape, or form, I'd like and subscribe, which is always enough. Links down to everything in the description below. I'm looking to reach 1.5k by the end of the year, and I'm looking to release my new music and album sometime towards the end of this month, and this whole situation. So look out for that stuff. But with all that being said, let's get started. Of course, starting off with the original FBI tweet here. The original FBI tweet from the official FBI Twitter account here, as you can see, says, "Today we're announcing the seizure and dismantlement of several illicit video game marketplaces from February to May of this year. There were approximately 3.2 million illicit downloads, and these downloads cost an estimated $170 million in, quote, losses, according to at least the FBI government body itself. A bunch of these different websites are being listed off in the actual thing, and we'll get into those in a bit here. With an article as well as some other people reporting on this and giving the reactions genuinely after we read all that stuff. But my first initial thoughts on this is, why? I mean, one of the biggest things that is in the news right now is things that are being releasing of specific files within terms of the this and that, and basically trying to keep public opinion about them high. But overall, this is just, what is happening here? Why are you specifically targeting, say, websites like the very, very not actually causing much damages in terms of, well, this? Because not only is $170 million not even cracking into some of the budgets of modern AAA games, by the by, if the, financial reports of certain companies being out there is anything to go off of, say Spider-Man and most of Sony's games for things into the 3 times that amount, but overall, they weren't losses of sales as pointed out in the actual community note that was initially attached to us. Reading this out, you can say the claim of the economic loss of $170 million is false, as money one did not make does not actually equate to a loss. While yes, you can say that it caused $170 million in loss through, like, saying 3.2 million being downloaded on this site, this doesn't account for the fact that some of those people, and some of those people within the 3.2 million, have a higher percentage of actually buying the game, because if the game is at least still available to be purchased, then yeah, that is the problem. If it's not to be purchased, then that's a different issue entirely, having to do with things such as the Stop Killing Games movement, where there's no real way for us to actually to keep those games onto them. Even so, it's the most pirate instead it was purchased. The insinuation that most people who pirate would instead purchase the products is unfounded and massively bloating the statistic. But of course, one of the interesting things that I wanted to talk about here is that I used to say that this was, if you heard earlier, I said that this was a part of the initial community note portion. But as you can see from Amonis here says, where has the note actually gone? The protection agency shouldn't be immune to notes, where this screenshot the original note that I just read off here. If you look at the actual FBI post that I actually just showed, you'll see that the note itself does not exist any longer attached to that post for one reason or another. It seems very strange to me that that's just a thing that they can do to get rid of the note for whatever reason. It doesn't make much sense for that. And of course there are other things out there, but it's just kind of crazy to me that there was a note and then there was not a note. But of course we're going to get into this quick little article here that was made by Dave Cook, or at least it was posted by him, where he basically has this whole Eurogamer article about how piracy can really hurt studios, but game preservation is such a sorry state overall that ROM's the only way to play thousands of old titles, and there's literally no other way to pay money for them, even if people wanted to. So it's kind of sad, where he brings up the same sort of thing. This is, of course, by the people at Eurogamer, who are not the greatest in terms of, you know, articles and stuff, but this is one of the good articles that can really kind of show you what they're capable of if they're actually, you know, doing good stuff here. So, of course, one of the big websites here was the NSW2U Seizure. That was of last week, of the posting of this specific article, of which the FBI posted it around the same time. So going to just go through the original article. I'm going to speed run this again as we want to more get to the people's reactions, as no one's really supporting this. And I had to vet quite a few, and I'll get into the reason why in a bit. Following the Federal Bureau of Investigations, who reportedly Seizure pirated ROM site NSW2U.com last week, U.S. government agency has confirmed the move was a part of an operation that impacted, quote, multiple targets. As far as the actual website shared list, they said that the seizure of the several online criminal marketplaces that is said for more than 4 years that provided access to, quote, pirated copies of highly anticipated video games days or weeks before their official release date. It's also the claim that these websites have culminated in downloads of 3.2 million in just 3 months this year, from February to May, and resulted in a, quote, $170 million loss. On top of that, on NSW2U's closure, they performed with the assistance of a fiscal information through the services in the Netherlands, and additionally resulted in the closure of, quote, multiple other websites, including NSWDL.com, Game-2U.com, BigNGame.com, PS4PKG.com, PS4PKG.net, and MGNETU.com. Those are all the websites that were supposedly closed, and we'll get into some of the more interesting ones that I think that were also not featured in that in a later tweet. These domains hosted the facilitated access to the pirate video games continued. Anyone visiting these sites will now view a seizure banner that notifies them the domain has been seized by the federal authorities. This is the latest move in an ongoing crackdown against video game piracy. Earlier this year, Nintendo was with a legal battle in a French file-sharing company, which apparently was a thing, meaning the European file-sharing companies must now remove illegal copies of games when asked to do so. It is also successfully shut down Switch emulator Yuzu last year after claiming the software facilitated piracy, quote, at a colossal scale. Oh boy. So, what are my thoughts on this? Well, to be clear here, and like I said before, I don't think that this is the greatest use of anyone's time, especially considering the fact that, well, this shouldn't even be one of the top priorities in the actual listings here. And again, there are far more pressing things within the world itself that are currently needing under investigation to, I don't know, maybe stop global nuclear annihilation. And while, yes, gaming piracy might result in some losses, maybe that's really just some unsubstantiated stuff that really is only made to spin it so that way it's, quote, illegal. Now, why do I mean by this? While piracy itself is a pretty prevalent thing throughout the majority of, well, the everything, like Gabe has said, and like many people have said in the past, it's more of a service issue rather than not. The fact that we can't buy some of these games, because even though people want to buy those games, the fact that we can't acquire them in a sort of legal manner from the official licensing owner, you can kind of see why there is so much backlash against this. of the amount of things that I saw people talking about this, overall, there was one person out of the thousands of tweets that I had to curate that essentially was in support of this. I'm not sure exactly how much of support was given by this meme, and we'll get to it when we get to it, but overall, this is a terrible, terrible waste of time, because there are so many more different things that could be there, and one of them being that if you recognize the earlier thing of the protection agency, you might know about the specific files to be released on a very particular person who may or may not have done away with specific aspects of his life. Now, I'm not going to say this because this is, again, YouTube, and I don't want to get demonetized from the Sun, but if you know, you know. Overall, the amount of seizures of the actual websites here, as listed off by Pirate Nation, you can completely see that small list there. There is probably maybe multiple other ones that were even smaller that didn't seem to make this specific list, as there might have been multiple ones, but again, we'd have to do some thorough investigation for that, but I mean, again, this is one of the places where I initially saw it, so having to do that as well. But of course, not everyone was the small people that were in response to this as well. One of the bigger people that were actually against this maneuver and against the whole thing here was based game developers running with Scissors. Running with Scissors is the guys who made Postal, by the way, so you can kind of tell where their stance would probably be on things such as big government interfering with video game culture. So let's get started with their tweet of, "This sucks. Poor people will struggle. Abandonware continues to be deemed as a company's active property. Again, funding and time spent isn't going to operations that need more attention than this. Big companies continue seeing piracy as a boogeyman, and people listen. We can't speak for other companies on the matter, but piracy has done wonders for us. Those who didn't contribute financially have instead contributed by spreading word about our games, which led to actual purchases through word of mouth." Which, again, is a very interesting point of reference here. Like I said before, these guys are officially big game developers. Maybe not the hugest there, as they are, again, a smaller-ish indie studio with only around four, never mind. No, actually, it is 4. We don't count that one. Games under their belt that have actually received pretty well things. And again, this is one of the most popular sort of, weirder games out there. They also have a weird movie, which probably is the best Uwe Boll movie that I've ever seen, which, coming from Uwe Boll's, list, is kind of insane. But, yeah, what part of any of this piracy nonsense is hurtful to companies? Oh, no! They're able to download it for free, which, I guess, but you don't see the same thing. It's not like movie piracy or music piracy, I guess, because both of those are more passive stuff. If you're able to get things like a video game for free, or even as a demo thing, back in the day, you used to get 2/3 of the game for free as a shareware type thing, and overall, that ended up getting people to buy the game more and to make specific games more popular. Like Doom itself, you can't get the original 1980s Doom, 86 Doom, I think, on most places anymore. They're usually done through distros and ROMs and stuff, and that game's just super fucking old and still has this pretty active, small, but dedicated community. There's just no money to be made from it. What about the time when a couple tournaments were shut down by Nintendo for not using the official hardware? You can't get the official hardware for some of these games that are very, very classic anymore. What about the games that were on, say, specific game cabinets and things to be able to play that? Where is this sort of being a bad thing if, you get these games and it just ends up, I don't know. But of course, there was also this, which I actually ended up seeing this specifically on Blue Sky, with over 20% of global game devs force was laid off in the last 3 years, and absolutely none of it was because of piracy, which is very much correct. Most of that was because of dwindling profits, because, oh no, people are not buying our overpriced slop games for whatever reason. It's almost as if we're not putting passion into these games for that reason, and that seems to be more the reason why these sales are plummeting. Of course, there was one person who I said who was seemingly in some sort of actual I guess, for this initiative for whatever reason. It's a very small person by the name of Big L here saying people who emulate games should be fined or sent to jail for theft. Emulation is illegal and hurts the industry. I pay for my games. So should you. It's only fair. Where readers adding context saying, while piracy is illegal, emulation is not. And piracy is only illegal because, well, companies say that it's illegal because you're not actually being able to buy these games, meaning that they can charge you whatever prices for them and then immediately take them away because of EULA and other sorts of stuff. Out of, again, the over thousands upon thousands of comments, retweets, and other sorts of stuff, this was the only person who I saw who was actually in this sort of on the side of the FBI, from what I could tell here. This might just be sort of a meme thing, but if this person is willing to post this meme of emulation being piracy and missing the forest for the trees and stuff and being like, oh, you should be able to emulate your games or whatnot, like, dude, everyone else in this is like saying you're in the fucking wrong, and you're most definitely in the wrong because, again, you're fighting the wrong battle here. It's really dumb how emulation is piracy and people who emulate games should be fined. So by that same logic, most of the companies that have these backwards compatibility type things, where they run your games through an emulator on the actual official hardware, should also be fined because, in your mind, emulation is illegal and hurts the industry. You do realize, again, that these companies use emulation in that context. So meaning that they should be fined because emulation, quote, hurts the industry. I have nothing else to say on the matter other than you're dumb. But moving on to more of people's reactions here with the Cynical Knight saying, Frutelli's, don't know how you pronounce that, doing an excellent job doing anything other than the files by contributing to America's real problems. Video game piracy, despite de novo practically attached to AAA, parasitically, my mistake, attached to AAA games. Think of the gaming industry, guys. Yeah. Again, very much good points here. When de novo is present, it actively ends up hurting the game more. And again, even with my contributing factors here, you can actually see what I mean when I'm ending up talking about this stuff. I'm not going to say it. Probably going to censor it in the actual thing, but you know the files that I'm talking about. So, yikes. Bon here with the FBI declaring they should take down video game piracy sites instead of dealing with the actual problems in the country, and good old Patrick having a brain meltdown scene. Very classic, very classic. Gil, or El Glushy, I guess, saying, so fucking whack that you spend government dollars to stop people without resources for playing games. Stop real threats. Again, it wouldn't be this bad. Well, I mean, it would still be really bad, but I don't think it would be this bad if they talked about things such as, again, illicit downloads of the amount that they had, and, quote, estimated losses, when those estimated losses are really only if each of those people ended up buying those games at current prices. And those games are not sales to be made there, saying that, oh yeah, the gaming industry could have made more money off of these people. That's not good. Like, yeah, certainly, it might be good for the companies, but, I mean, again, 170 million when games cost more to make now, and again, the 170 million is the weight of certain game companies' entire income or entire actual value. Like, so what? Like, the big guy, like, it's just, I don't know. Next up here, we have Alexander Moivas with, you just gotta say this, FBI. If buying isn't not owning, then piracy is not stealing. Fuck game companies wanting to charge $80 US for shit-ass games that are broken pieces of unfinished crap on launch day. Again, very much so correct opinion here, as far as I can tell. Really nothing to say more on the matter other than that. Jason R. with go after the hackers in COD and Activision. They can't seem to handle it themselves. Which I think that's a pretty better, but I think that's actually probably a better place to go after in terms of actual illegal activity happening or actual harming activity happening. It's going after like hacking sites for these things. But I guess that is lower priority somehow than people quote unquote stealing or copying video games. Like, dude, this used to be a thing where you used to share and copy games all the time back in like the 80s and 90s and even a fair amount in the early aughts. It doesn't matter at the end of the day because, again, I would say that hacking not only is more prevalent and more dangerous to the experience of people's online experiences, but overall is far more detrimental to the actual gaming industry. Like, imagine if they seized like 3.2 million like download sites for, say, hacking websites and stuff, and then ended up like, oh, that would actually have been a good move. It might not have been a great move and might have still been stupid, but at the same time, that's actually helping out the gaming industry. Next up here, we have people talking about the actual list again. I'm not going to go over this because you already know. And really to kind of cap off the ending of this weird stupidity thing, I just wanted to point out that Elon himself is using Grok to kind of make anime girls into AI stuff. Again, the actual story of this I'll probably cover more in my end of month review, but to give a little thing here, I saw this on there where you can, quote, learn quantum mechanics and stuff through the AI anime girl that is now Grok, to try to gain back some sympathy points, I guess, but it's still AI, it's still garbage, and quite honestly, these are the companies that the FBI seems to be trying to defend for whatever reason. I don't know. Really dumb. It's really dumb. Anyway, with all that being said, this has been me ranting into a microphone, probably about something semi-political, but not actually fully political, because I don't really like talking about politics a lot. So if you like what it is that I do, and it's one in any other way, shape, or form, other than like and subscribe, which is always enough, please feel free to hit them. I'm looking at 1.5K by the end of the year. I'm looking to also release my music towards the end of July. The EP is coming out with the actual ending, the actual full album coming out probably towards the now sort of middle of December to kind of space out my stuff now, but again, we'll see when I get around to it. Come here to see me stream live on every Sunday, 12 p.m. EST, my time. Come along and say hi. In any case, my name is GamePeng21, and a peace.
Can I get a